Hello, thank you for checking out A1 Math, and today we're talking about graphing a system of inequalities. Here are the steps for graphing a system of inequalities. Step 1, graph the first inequality. Step 2, graph the second inequality. Step 3, you want to color in or shade darker where they overlap or erase where they don't. Okay, and you want to indicate exactly where the two inequalities overlap, and those are going to be where your solutions lies for your system of inequalities. Now, if they do not overlap, then there are no solutions for your inequalities. So let's take a look at our first example. So first, I'm going to start off by graphing an inequality in the first in y less than negative 5x plus 2. So I see that there's no equal then here, so that lets me know that it's dashed. So I'm going to use a dashed line. Now I'm going to graph the line, and I'm going to start with using positive 2 as my y-intercept, which is right here. Next, I'm going to find my slope, and it's going to be negative 5x. So it's going to be negative 5, well, not my, negative 5 over 1 is my slope. So I'm going to start here at positive 2 and go down 5 and over 1. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 1. And right there is when I'm going to put my dash line right down through there, like so. Okay, now that I have the line drawn, what I want to do is shade above or below. Well, since it's less than, I'm going to shade below. So it's going to be on this side, and I'm going to use horizontal lines here. If you use vertical lines, that's okay, but I recommend when you get to your second inequality to use a horizontal line, or opposite of whichever one you use it first. Okay, now we're going to do the second one. So we're going to go down to negative 2 here, and our slope is going to be negative 1 over 1. But before we do that, we want to make sure we use a dash line because it's also no equal sign here. All right, now I'm going to draw my line. I'm going to start here at negative 2, and I'm going to go down 1 and over 1 for my slope. You also go up 1 to the left 1 to get more points there. So once you plot your points, you're going to draw your line and make sure that it's dashed. Okay, now I have my line and it's dashed here. And take a look to see where do I shade. Well, because it's less than again, I'm going to also shade below. And I'm going to use vertical lines for this one. All right, next, I'm going to go ahead and see where they overlap. They overlap in between here and here. Okay, so that's what I'm going to color in right there. So this is all the points that lie within here is the solution to this inequality or system of inequalities. All right, now you could then erase off the part that you don't need so you can see it clearly what the solution is. Okay, now the last thing I want to do is just pick a couple points to make sure I know exactly where my solutions lie. So in this shaded in region, I just picked a couple points here, negative 3 and negative 3 comma negative 2 and negative 1 comma negative 2. So those would be solutions. If you want to take these numbers and plug those values in, like pick this one point and plug it in both, you should get the accurate solution to the inequalities there. Okay, so that's one example. Let's take a look at another. Now, the first thing I want to do again is graph the first inequality and taking a look at this one. I do have the equal then sign there. So this time I'm going to use a solid line for this one. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and graph this. I'm going to start off at -1 and use my slope, which is -2 over 3. So I can go down 3. I'm sorry, go down 2 and to the right 3. Down 2 to the right 3. Or I can start here at -1 and go up 2 but back 3. And once I do that, I'm able to draw my line, which is right in here. Okay, and now what I want to do is go ahead and see which way I'm going to shade. So since it's greater than, I want to shade above this way. So I got some horizontal lines here, so I can shade above. Okay, now on the next one here, I've got x is greater than 3. X is greater than 3. So to graph it, that's really easy. All you want to do is when you have a equation where you do not have the it in slope intercept form and you can't put it in slope intercept form, what you want to do is take your x greater than 3 here and go start at 0, 0 and go to that number. In this case, it's 3. And then I'm going to go to the right to 3 and make a vertical line right there. Okay. Now, because there's no equal then sign, it's going to be dashed. Dashed. So then I'll go ahead and draw a dotted line here. And with my dotted line, now this becomes a little bit more difficult as far as figuring out which way to shade. But it's not that hard. Um, since it has to be greater than 3, it's everything to the right. So when you have a vertical line, you don't want to do above and below. You want to do right and left. Well, right would be greater, and to the left would be less than, the way it always has been. So now I'm going to go ahead and make some vertical lines here on this side here. Okay. So I did step 1 and step 2. I have both of my inequalities graphed. Now I want to color in where they overlap, which is from here up to here. So I'm going to go ahead and color that in. And this is where they overlap at. So all my solutions are within here. Now the next thing I want to do is erase the unneeded part here and make it clear to see where my solutions are. Now finally, pick a couple points out of here, and you could pick any point that's in this shaded region. Now keep in mind, since this is dotted, you don't want to pick a line on this one. You don't want to put 3 0 or 3 1 because the dotted line indicates that it's not included. Now, you could pick, if it was solid, you could pick that one. But since it's not, you want to come all the way over within that region and pick a number from there. So I've decided to pick 4 1 and 5 2. Okay, and that is graphing an inequality, a system of inequalities. I want to thank you for checking out A1 Math and have a nice day.